everybody. Welcome back to the Crazy Hockey Dads podcast, the unfiltered podcast for hockey parents. No politics, no sugarcoating, just real talk for hockey parents in the trenches.
That's
and we are
up.
back for episode 38.
38.
38.
38.
And do we have an interview for you? A very cool local dad who, in my opinion, has definitely... He gets it right, in my opinion.
Done a few things right. Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah. And you will be, I'm sure, hearing about his son in the future.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
Yeah.
But cool interview, man. Really cool interview. Nice find by you.
Yeah, no. So we got Anthony LoSauro on today. He's someone I met when Otto was playing with the North Jersey Avalanche. And he's got 3 boys, 2 girls. The youngest, his son Nolan, is a 2015. Right. And when Otto first started, he was playing Might Be, and like both Nolan and Otto were on the rink at the same time. And I met Anthony. It turns out he's a local guy, and there we have a bunch of people in common, which is kind of interesting to reminisce and throw some old names out there. But he played pretty high level sports as a kid, and has gone on to parent some pretty phenomenal athletes. His oldest son AJ is a D1 commit to Penn State for lacrosse.
We are,
but he's been a dual athlete, a multi-sport athlete from since he was a young kid, and so he played 16U Premier Abs last year. He might have led the Abs in scoring.
He said something about that. Yes,
I think it was AJ, the older one.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And then he's just playing high school this year as a senior and focusing on lacrosse.
He's a better lacrosse player.
He's a better lacrosse player, even though he led the Abs. Anyway, it's wild to think, right?
No, it's crazy. He's got impressive kids,
Yeah, but then the middle son, Will, played U16 Premier AAA as a double underager, a 14-year-old playing with 16-year-olds. 2
years up. Yeah.
And crushed it.
Yeah. No,
totally crushed it.
That's and what was kind of cool about what Anthony was saying was, which you guys will hear on the interview, but his older brother was like really down with it. Like he wasn't insecure about his younger brother playing on his team, because his older brother's a 10, and the younger brother's a 10, the older brother's an 8.
Correct.
08, right? So 08 and a 10 playing on the same team. And what was really cool is that his older brother was all about his younger brother coming and playing with them.
Yeah. It's amazing.
I can't imagine that being that way in most households.
I mean,
right?
Yeah, and what an accomplished guy. And then on top of all of the parenting, and that he also started and runs Towermen Lacrosse, a club lacrosse program in our area that has produced a whole host of D1.
Yeah, that was cool too. That was cool.
Lacrosse players. So just the guys crushing it.
We didn't even get into Stick Bros. We didn't even have time to talk about that with him.
No, his apparel company. Stick Bros. Everyone should check that out. Stickbros.com.
Yeah, stickbros.com.
Right? I didn't even double check that.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure it's stickbros.com. It's like a combination lacrosse ice hockey.
Because there's such overlap, and it's stickbros.com.
We should get a discount. We should ask him for a discount code for that.
Yeah, no doubt. Got a cool logo.
I'm sure. Yeah, they do, and I'm sure a lot of our kids, a lot of the parents that listen to this, their kids probably play lacrosse and ice hockey because they complement each other nicely. Which Anthony mentions on the interview.
Yeah, and I think great. The best part about that combo is that just the seasonality of it works so well. It's not football and hockey don't exactly mesh. And he even mentioned that for a few reasons because he was a football player himself. But anyway, we'll get to the interview in a few.
No, it's a good interview. You guys are going to enjoy it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, no, it's great stuff. Really glad to know him. Super nice guy, great family, great kids, all of it.
Fun.
It was fun. Yeah, so speaking of partners, Howie's Hockey, shout them out as usual.
Crazy 10.
Use the discount code, 10% off your order. So use that, get your gear, get your shirts, get your whatever you need. The great gifts, holidays are coming up. You can't go wrong with anything from Howie's as a stocking stuffer, whatever your family might celebrate, good gifts.
Yep.
Got that. Pro Strat Elite Skating, Angelo Sirs. What's up? Yo, hey, James, how we doing on that interview, bud?
Fuck
You're
off.
still working on it, right? Okay, awesome. Check.
Bro, dude,
Dude,
I listen. I mean, fair. You can bust my balls about
I
that.
will.
It's coming. The dude from the Devils is not easy to grab a hold of.
Not when you're winning so much,
This is true, by the way. You're not wrong about
apparently.
that. I will find and get him. I'm working on it.
Good. Keep working.
Wyatt, I am rolling. I'm
Okay.
working on it. It will come, but in the meantime, we have a lot of cool shit lined up for you
Right.
guys.
But we're still not done with
With what?
partners.
Sorry, continue.
Yes, sir.
We're pro shotting. Angelo Sirs coming soon. Was he CHD 10 for 10% off his power skating clinics?
Yes, that's correct.
Right.
Yep.
If the New Jersey Devils trust him,
So should you.
so should you.
That's
Just
what's
saying.
up. And then
Guys, shout
Athletic
out
Performance
Eric.
Insight. Yep,
his stuff's
as always.
awesome.
Yep, Athletic Performance Insight. For all of your video analytics, game tagging, under the hood analytics for your club team, go to athleticperformanceinsight.com, fill out the contact form, reach out to Eric. He will more than happily talk to you about what his program has to offer in terms of getting your team feedback, video feedback, video review, all that stuff. Get
great.
a discount, a 10% discount on
$100
your season
value.
subscription.
Yep.
And, he'll tag a game for free just so you can see what it's all about. But highly recommend, if nothing else, just get some information, talk to him. If now's not the right time, maybe in the future, next season. But it's robust platform. And the youth clubs all the way up to the collegiate teams use it, trust it. And the product's great. So
it is. His
athleticperformanceinsight.com,
really
AKA
go get
API.
it. Go get it.
Go get yours.
Go get it. You speaking of crazy 10, you want to hear something funny of this weekend?
Oh, yeah, sure.
So we are in Hershey, Pennsylvania for a showcase this weekend.
How'd that go?
Not terrible. 2-2. Played some 4 high level teams.
Oh, did you? That's awesome.
Yeah. Should have beat the top team. We were winning, and then they came. I think we were winning 3-2, lost 4-3 late in the third. We actually probably should have won the game, but so I'm hoping we see them again. But it was good because all 4 teams were higher rated than us.
Yep.
And so that was good. So we did nicely this weekend. Even 2-2 was nice. So funny. We're in Hershey, and they have 3 rinks there at their facility. Okay. The middle rink, freezing doesn't even begin to describe what this thing is. Bro, it is fucking freezing. It's like a meat locker. I mean, like Avalanche Rink 4 is cold because the wind kind of cranks down the river there. So the outside of the building gets cold. This rink is sandwiched inside of one. Rink 3 is on one side of it, rink 1's on the other. So you have like nowhere to hide. Like, dude, like you could see your breath. You couldn't feel your toes. All right, so I walk into the pro shop. I did not bring a jacket, like the jackass that I am. I'm
Smart.
like, I got me a jacket. I'm like, I'll just throw like a pullover on or something like that, right? I'm like, no jacket needed. So I don't bring a jacket with me in Pennsylvania.
It's a cardigan. Thanks for asking.
I'm actually wearing one.
I know.
Is that a Dumb and Dumber? Is that
Absolutely.
where that's from?
Pull
it
over.
Is, right?
Pull over.
No, it's a cardigan.
Thanks
for asking.
So good.
Well done, Scott. Well done. That was good.
Sometimes, what is it? Even the sun shines on a dog's ass some days.
Yeah, that was actually very good.
Thank you.
Well done. Very well done. So I walk into the pro shop. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice looking pro shop, and I'm like, I need something to put on, right? So I check out, there's like some CCM sweatshirts, but it has like the Palmyra logo on, and I'm like, I'm not, I can't, what am I gonna do with something with the Palmyra logo on it, right? So I'm like, can't do that. All right, so I go over like Bauer, CCM, they didn't really have my size or anything, so I find the Howie's hockey section. I'm like, shit. I'm like, this is great. So like, so I grab one off the shelf, and I'm like, my size, perfect, home run. And I'm walking up to the counter, and I'm like, how fucking stupid am I? Like, I get a discount on this shit. So I asked the guy at the counter, I'm like, any chance I can get like a 10% discount on this?
And
He's like, yeah, no, it's last year's prices. I'm like, all right, fine.
but you still have a high quality,
I do.
high style.
I do. It's a nice one too.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So I bought myself. Yeah, it's just yeah. Our Mason over at Howie's Hockey would be like, "You dummy."
Yeah, well, you should have brought your
I should have.
yeah,
I should have. But
good job.
yeah, so I felt like such a jackass buying a full price Howie's Hockey thing when we have a discount code. But at the time, I was freezing my balls off, and it was necessary. So it is what it is.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
well, I great.
What are
Problem
you gonna do?
solved. Good job.
Yes.
Good
Yeah.
job,
Yeah.
Sensei.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah.
all right. So besides the cold rink, so it was a pretty solid weekend considering you played better competition. That's good.
Not terrible.
Anything I don't know,
Not terrible.
anything that really stands out to you about the weekend that's worth noting? Maybe personal I don't know,
Are you
emotional roller coasters perhaps. Were there any of that this weekend?
Are you
I
asking
was
me if I actually kept my shit together this weekend? Is that what you're asking me? Because the answer is
yeah.
no. The answer is no.
You didn't know,
I
huh?
did. I did. No, I didn't. I tried to. I did, but I didn't. I didn't in front of him.
Well, that's probably the most important part.
But my child is going through a little bit of a confidence crisis at the moment, so we're working on that. You know, it is a work in progress.
What
So we're
yeah, you have any ideas on like kind of like what the route there is?
honestly, dude, I don't know.
Yeah.
I know he's super stressed out that I know he's really stressed out about school starting and new school, and the work is pretty hard. So I know that that's been I don't want to say an issue, but I know that's been a problem.
Like a source of anxiety.
Yeah, a little bit. So I know. So I'm hoping that the first 2 months, you always hear the first month, 2 months of first year bantams is difficult.
Yeah.
Like our head coach actually said the other day. I don't know if I told you this. I told somebody the other day. We're sitting there at the hotel having some drinks late night, and he goes, 13U, like your first year at Bantams is the most difficult year for ice hockey players. Oh, I told Volmer that today. That's what I was telling that to.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like but I mean, it makes sense when you think about it, right? It does.
Yeah,
So
and
he's struggling.
right. And just in having anxiety going into a game,
Yeah.
no matter what the source is, you know, I think without overthinking it, just even going into now that there's body check. I don't know. I could imagine that like
It's different. I will say that it is different,
it's a different
right?
game than he's ever
That's
played.
fair. It's definitely different, but I don't know, Scott. Come back. I'm working on it. We're working
Yeah.
on it with him.
No, I hear you.
You
Well,
know,
listen, I hope things start to turn. I know
fingers
that it's
crossed, right?
been a little difficult, but listen,
Yeah,
just do what you can to be there for him, you
yeah.
know.
That's the plan, man.
And that was something that like even Anthony was talking about in the interview, right? Like, just reading the room, right? And
He
I
was.
think that, part
Yeah,
of being a parent is knowing when to push, when to pull back. You're not going to get it right 100% of the time,
yeah.
but as long as you get it right more than you get it wrong, that's a win.
Agreed.
And I
Agreed.
think we've all been there, man. I mean, like,
Unfortunately,
for
I
me
think you're right.
personally, like this past weekend, Otto's team, they won both games, which was great. They rebounded from the weekend prior where we had our showcase and we went like 1-1, lost 3. Otto
Right.
didn't play in like the second 2 games. Came back, was pretty productive, but even still, it's
Yeah.
like you watch the game and like I have to say now that we're however many games into it, I don't know how many games are into it. 17 games, is
Hmm.
that possible? 17 games?
Yeah, it is actually. I think that's right.
17, I
Yeah.
think 18 games,
Yeah, I
19,
think you're
whatever.
right. Yeah, I think that's
In,
true.
in the beginning, you're still kind of getting a feel as a parent, kind of like for like the players, like the quality, the level, the coaching and all of this. And, I knew that we had, and we still obviously we have kids that are from all different programs. said it a few times on the podcast. They're from like 7 different programs, and this is the first year this team has skated together. So, and there's definitely some talent on the team, like for sure.
Right, right.
But i- in the beginning, you're just like, all right, it'll gel, and like,
Yeah, hopefully it does.
at this, hopefully, and progress, tends to take longer than you always want it to. But I
True.
gotta say, like some of the hockey, I'm just like, oh man, and maybe it's some kids playing down to like other levels, and
Oh,
I don't know, but like like the games this weekend, while Otto, did well enough. Personally, there's still like it's I don't know.
frustrating?
Yeah, it's really frustrating, and it is
I get it.
frustrating because I feel like there's like a lot of knock hockey. There's a lack of like teamwork. There's
Puck
some
possession?
yeah, man, like hot potato. Like it's just
Yeah. It's
it's
also
not.
still early, you
Yeah,
know?
I hear you, but
I don't
and again,
disagree with you, though, I get it.
I'm still trying to
Big difference between tier 1 and tier 2 in that
like
respect. The knock
it
hockey is
it,
is a thing that
dude,
happens,
it
yes.
feels like fucking massive,
I know, it's
like
I know.
like
I
like
don't disagree with you.
massive.
I know. The kids haven't realized that puck possession is actually, like, a really big thing in tier 1, right? I mean, it just is.
But
I
it's
mean,
even just like the small thing, like like on a breakout, like the wingers just getting the puck off the wall, so they have like an option or two, like not just trying to go
yeah.
glassing out like every single time the puck is on their stick.
Kids
Just like
default to what they're comfortable with too.
zone entries, there's like a ton of individual. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the worst is when kids make a move on the blue line and draw their teammate off sides,
Yeah,
you
that
know?
happens too. That part
Yep.
I'm not even that's like I feel
Yeah,
like the
minor.
next level of problems where it so I don't know. I
Yeah,
mean, hopefully things will get better, but
I get it. Yeah,
it's not great.
it's frustrating. I know. I
Yeah.
get it. I get it. I definitely get it. You know? Hey, we have not done a geographic update in a while, and I don't
Mm,
know if you saw, but we were 5 states light in the United States. We had 45 of the 50.
yeah.
We were missing Oregon and Mississippi.
Yeah, I saw those.
We picked up Oregon and Mississippi, so now we are 3 down to be
Almost there.
all over the United States. We've been picking up places that I cannot pronounce in like Finland and Norway. We picked up like 4 different regions, which is crazy.
Norway is beautiful, by the way. I was there once. It's unreal.
Uh, I have not been, but I'm sure it's
Unreal.
lovely. I'm sure it's lovely. My father-in-law was there years ago. I have not been, but we're picking up over there Norway, Sweden. We picked up again places I cannot pronounce, and we also picked up at the very bottom. I don't know if you saw Slovakia,
I did see that.
another hockey playing nation. So that
Yeah.
was kind of cool too.
Well,
So we kind of went on a little bit of a lull for a while, and all of a sudden you're starting to get. But I think there's a lot of places that you and I cannot pronounce that are coming on board.
yeah. Well,
You
on that
know?
note, though, thank you everyone for joining, listening, checking us out.
Yes, welcome.
Super appreciate the you guys listening, and please stick around. I think that as Jamie mentioned earlier, we have not only a fantastic guest today, we got a lot of great guests lined up.
Oh
So
man, do
there
we
should be
ever?
a lot of value coming your way in terms of hearing different people's perspectives,
Different
trials,
paths.
tribulations, ups, downs,
Yep.
paths, all of this stuff. And so
Yeah.
yeah, really good stuff, man. Thanks for calling that out. Yeah, it's been a while.
We're
So,
we're bringing it. Even though Scott and I feel like dog shit today, we're here because we love you guys.
oh, yeah, that's it, James.
It
That
is.
is, I
Why
know, I
else would
know.
we be here feeling like dog shit?
I don't know. It's like this. I feel
Both of us are
terrible.
fucking sick as dogs, and we're here. Why do you think I have my lovely cardigan on? Because I'm freezing my ass off. I can't get warm at all.
Oh, well, maybe,
Also, why I haven't shaved my face in like a couple of days because I am not a happy camper. But
well, it
listen,
will pass.
the show must go on, Scott.
Yeah.
Right?
So on that note, though, what do you think? You want to kick it over to Anthony?
Yeah. Go ahead, bud. All you. Let's hear it.
What do you mean? Let's hear it.
Yeah, let's hear your intro into Anthony's awesome interview.
Oh, well, I kind of introduced him a little bit in the beginning. But again,
That is
Anthony
true.
LoSauro, father of 5. He's got, 3 boys all playing ice hockey. 2 of them, one's a D1, commit to Penn State for lacrosse. He's, he played AAA 16U Premier last year, but
Yep.
happens to be a better lacrosse player,
Yep.
like wild. And then his middle
Will
boy
be a
Will
D1 commit at
is
some
like
point.
one of the top 2010 prospects in the country. Went to
Yeah.
USA U15
Development
development
camp.
camp earlier
Yeah.
this year. Played U16 premieres, AAA as a double underager. Is playing again this year as as an underager.
Yeah.
Um, Boys are playing high school hockey. Trying to give his kids the most normal upbringing, despite the fact that they're high level athletes, and like there have been opportunities and calls made to try to like recruit them to go here, there, and the next. But
Yeah.
just such a grounded guy.
Yeah. Keeps his kids pretty level headed too, which is cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's impressive.
So
Pretty
yeah,
neat.
so he's it was a great getting to know more about him, his story as a football player, his boys, their journey, how he started Towermen Lacrosse club lacrosse program in the area. That was
Yeah.
really interesting. And you guys, I think, will take a lot from the interview with Anthony LoSauro. So let's kick it over to him, and I'll see you on the back end.
Sounds good. Here we go.
All right, my guy.
Absolutely.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to a next interview with Anthony LoSauro. Anthony is someone I've known for, I don't know, at least probably like 5 years now, pretty casually, over at the North Jersey Avalanche. We met, dad of some pretty high level athletes, also
Oh
founder of
yeah.
Towermen Lacrosse, a club lacrosse team. High school athlete, just has been involved in high level sports from a young age up until now, and just has a lot to offer, from like raising athletes to being an athlete. And just want to welcome to the podcast. What's up, Anthony?
Yo, what up, boys? Love
What
it.
up,
Thanks for having
dude?
me. I
Yeah, no,
appreciate
Appreciate
it.
you
it's so
coming on,
awesome to
man.
have you. Yeah. No, it's such a treat to have you on here. So yeah, as I was just mentioning, you're also a Jersey guy. We have a bunch of people in common, which was pretty cool to go over the other day. But so you were a football guy. Hockey was not your thing, right? If I'm not mistaken. What was your kind of journey in sports? Because I know you went on to play college football, like, as a high level athlete yourself, kind of like what was it like growing up for you and back in the day?
Yeah, I took the journey that I felt like we all took, which was hockey, basketball, and baseball. Right? It's like, I mean, that I feel like everybody I talked to back from my generation played those three sports. Grew up in a small town of Saddle River. What ended up happening is my dad died when I was young. He had brain cancer. It was pretty sudden, and my mom was kind of stuck as a only as a solo mom, and she had a very crazy boy in her hands. So she was like, "I'm gonna drown this kid in every goddamn sport under the sun, just to keep him busy, with all that was kind of going on." So
Yeah,
that's it. I had a big love for sports. I was super competitive. Um, going through 8th grade, it's a small town, so I was, sort of a big fish in a small pond. And then I loved football more than anything else, and Bergen Catholic was the place at the time. Bergen Catholic football
totally.
was it, like number
Oh
5 in the
yeah.
country. Names like Mark DeRosa, Jim Finn, those guys were all there, right? So now we go into Bergen Catholic, and there's 100 kids trying out for the freshman football team, 18 quarterbacks, and I was one of those 18
No,
quarterbacks. Yeah.
that
Jesus.
many kids?
It was I mean, freshman football cut 100 down to 50. Um, the
Wow.
Oh,
biggest it was nuts. I mean, the biggest thing that I learned from that too was that I wasn't ready, right? I was a very good natural athlete, good hand-eye, didn't have a ton of size, but some of the kids that came in had been lifting weights already. Some guys were benching 300 as a freshman. Some guys had
Jesus.
such a jump on me coming in to Bergen Catholic, and I know it's even crazier now, right? Bergen Catholic, Don Bosco, North Jersey football is
Yeah.
Oh
crazy.
yeah.
Um, so it took me 4 years at Bergen Catholic trying to catch up to these guys from Fairlawn and other towns that were just monsters.
Yeah.
And I would even probably say, like, it wasn't until like college that I was kind of caught up, and then I was, playing like the best version of myself. So that's
Wow.
and that kind of leads into with my kids. I felt like, okay, I got to give them a leg up. I got to
Yeah.
make sure that they don't they don't go through what happened to me, and that's like be
That they're
underprepared.
prepared. Yes.
Yeah,
Right. Right.
going into high school.
So, one of the things you just mentioned, it's something we've talked about a bunch. You said you love football more than anything. and that's something that, you hear on a lot of podcasts, just making sure to like foster the love for the game, because like what we just interviewed Doug Christensen, the commissioner of the ECAC. And one of the things that he said that like, if the kids don't love the game, the, the price of admission when it gets hard goes through the
up.
roof. And then that's like when, you see the kids drop off, because at some point, every journey, if you're going to play a high level, gets really hard. So when you were what was it? It was strictly like the love of the game for you that just kept you motivated to keep on being the best version of yourself, because it sounds like you had such a hill to climb the way you kind of laid that out.
Yeah.
Like,
Hocus on the River joined back in the day, and that program has since doesn't exist because there wasn't enough football guys, but we had 14 players and on that team combined with Hocus and Saddle River. And from that team, we had a kid that was captain of Princeton. We had a kid that was, a big running back for Cornell. I went to Middlebury. There were so many athletes from that team. We played Ironman, went, back and forth.
wow.
And I think we always played together as friends. We didn't have clinics like that growing up. It wasn't a big, I mean, how many clinics do you guys send your boys to at hockey now, right? Everything's a clinic. Everything is paid for. Everything is manufactured.
Structured.
Totally.
Yes. Absolutely. Everything's structured.
Listen, I think that's why Minnesota for hockey still does okay. I mean, there's a pond hockey element. There is a access to ice element where guys will just go on a Saturday and spend 4 hours messing around. They don't care if there's only AAA players on the ice. They don't care who the hell's on the ice. They're just playing for hours.
Totally. The culture is so different. Yeah.
Yes. I'm curious, before we get into stuff, I'm curious. I asked this to just about everybody that kind of comes on here. I'm curious to hear your take on the landscape in our area. Do you think there's too many teams, too many clubs, too many AAA teams? Because we've kind of talked a couple times about things being watered down in our area, right? Because there's too many teams, too many clubs, and it kind of, I think AA hockey used to be really good. Now I think you have all these AAA teams that probably really are AA teams. So I'm just curious to hear your take on the landscape, since you've kind of, have had kids in it.
Well, I think all the kids need a platform, right? So I think I wouldn't say there's too many teams. I would say hockey in our area, the barriers of entry are high. So in other words, I think in Minnesota, the barriers of entry are low, where where a kid, can rent, just can like borrow somebody's equipment. They can get on the ice. And then all of a sudden, now you're a hockey guy and you can be like, dude, this kid's enormous. This kid's big and he has a lot of hand-eye and balance and whatever else. And we'll make him into a hockey guy.
Right.
This area, we have to be as dads. We got to be like, I want my kids to play hockey and I have to spend money. And I'm going to try to manufacture him into a hockey player.
Right.
And that was your idea at a young age with your guys, with your boys?
Again, I'm the biggest. I own a lacrosse club, but I've never played lacrosse. I just know athletes.
Right.
And I always call myself like the biggest poser with that.
That's amazing.
Everyone's like, "Oh my god, where'd you play?" I'm like, "I didn't. I like if I pick up a stick, I look very dumb." But
if you run a post corner, I can hit you no problem.
yeah, no, 100%. I will say this: I was very strategic because I'm a 5'10" guy. I thank God I married a pretty tall woman, but I knew my kids were not going to be 6'4", and if you start all these sports can be fun. If you get I feel like if a kid is a kid that needs to run around and play sports and is competitive, it's a ball trying to get to the other side or a puck trying to get to the other side in some sort of net or some sort of goal, or, it's essentially all the same thing. But if you start breaking down the sports, you're like, okay, football is straight physics, right? So for my kids to have a chance at college football, they're going to have 1,500 car crashes, which I had, and then it also definitely helps them if they're 6'2", 230 to handle those car crashes, right? So that's not a, and I think people are kind of realizing, like, we just saw what happened with the Giants player, Scadaboo. It's so not sustainable. Like, it's just not a sustainable sport. And the only way to get good at football is run a 40, lift weights, handle that car crash, right? That's how you get good at football. there's a skill element with more of the skill positions, but so I kind of like I loved football but I'm like, all right, I'm like, it's not maybe not meant for my kids. And then you look at baseball and you're like, okay, we're strategically not competitive in baseball coming from New Jersey, right? Those when we're freezing our butts off for 3 to 4 months like it is right now, those kids in Florida and California are having, they're out playing
all year
every
round.
day,
Yeah.
so we don't have a competitive advantage in football. Excuse me, in baseball. Now basketball, right? I mean, you got to be tall. I mean, if you're not 6'3", 6'4", but then not only that, if you're 6'3", 6'4", but you also are in a cushy suburb and you're not like going to get your basketball and going down to the streets for 7 hours on a Saturday,
Yeah.
what chance do you have?
Yeah.
So like one by one, I'm peeling away every single one of these sports. And I'm like, okay.
Interesting.
The beautiful thing about lacrosse is that you could sit home by yourself and work on that skill and actually get good. And the cool thing about lacrosse is that there's different sizes all over the field. You
Yeah.
can have your super big guy in defense. You could have your super small attackman. You could have your quick guy. You could have your ground and pound guy. And that's exciting, right? So that doesn't block you from entering that sport. And you can get good on your own. And it has that physical element that I know my kids were like meant for. So, and then I got into hockey because you don't, you can be an effective hockey player and not be 6'5" either, and the
Right.
game is sort of changing in that respect where guys are breaking through.
Absolutely.
My brother-in-law is a scout for the Islanders, and that's how I got pushed in hockey. Sorry, I talked a lot there, guys.
No, but
that's how you got pushed into hockey, because your brother-in-law is a scout. That was my next question. Okay.
My wife is from Boston, and she's like, "Hey, listen, you're 5'10", max. Basketball is." She agreed with me, and she's like, "Let's do hockey."
So, but just going back real quick, the Towermen Lacrosse Club, you started that. How old were your boys? And was there any just real quick? I don't want to overlook, but you've got 5 kids, 3 boys, 2 girls, all athletes.
So it's so funny. My daughter is at Fairfield now. She's a sophomore. And I always tell her, if she ever says, I wish I played sports, I am going to say I did everything in my goddamn power to make you an athlete.
Right.
But she like loves fashion. She's a total, I don't want to say girly girl, but she's a total girly girl, and she likes what she likes. And I tried everything I possibly could. And at a certain point, I'm like, I'm not going to waste resources on this.
Right.
So we parachuted that, but then and I think that's why I got really into lacrosse, because I always say what annoys me about youth hockey or all these youth sports is that they don't let these kids hit, because I'm like, if you teach a puppy to bite, he'll always bite. If you teach a puppy not to bite, it's very hard now, right? When the puppy's 8 years old, to be like, hey man, go attack that guy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's not going to. So my biggest thing is that I take little kids and I get them to fall in love with contact, fall in love with being physical, fall in love with falling, getting hit, being aggressive, and then getting up. I mean, Scott, you brought your son back in the day to one of my lacrosse things.
I did. So I was just gonna mention that, because this is a great story. So we're at like a weekend. It was like a lacrosse tournament for kids, all different, like young. I don't know. Otto must have been like 8 at the time, maybe 7. And so they were young kids. And so there were a bunch of the hockey players from Otto's team, and other hockey players. And, we're at this tournament, and at the end of the tournament, I'm watching like the final game. And Anthony's youngest son, Nolan, is playing against a goalie that was on Otto's team. So there's a year difference, I think. Nolan's a 15, right? And so Rocco, during the game, completely steamrolls Nolan. I mean, like ragdolled him on the ground, like just murdered him. And at the end of the game, Anthony's giving out the awards, and he gives the MVP to Rocco, and he goes, I'm giving this award to the kid. You destroyed my son, but MVP for Rocco. And I just thought that was like, but that was like, what was so interesting about that, and just seeing the kids like with all the physical contact, was that you don't see that in hockey, and it's so poo-pooed, like to I don't poo poo is not the right way of putting it, but like it's not like what lacrosse was. And for Otto, to be honest with you, I don't think he was ready for it at the time, the level of contact. And so I can also see how that might deter kids. But if you're going to play a contact sport, and we were just talking about this, Anthony, Jamie, and I, just like
Yeah,
how are you going
recently.
to start introducing body contact to like boys that are like full of testosterone and just like ready to like get after it after when you missed all those years of learning how to absorb contact, to avoid
Right.
contact, how to deliver it correctly, how when and not to time things. Like it's such a missed opportunity. I don't I feel like there's much more of an upside to teaching it younger than than the injury concerns. Of course there's always going to be injuries as a contact sport, you can't get around that, right? But like I think we both fall into your camp of like, yeah, why are they not doing this sooner?
Yeah, that's 100%. I just the idea of making a bunch of young kids like a pack of wild dogs, and then over the years have to control them, as opposed to making a bunch of young kids know every rule and worry about breaking them. I mean,
Right.
you just it's so I just have like a different strategy with that. Because I've really got to get the kid going nuts. And by the way, who the hell wants to play a team with those kind of kids
Totally.
on
Yeah.
the other team? You
No,
know?
no doubt.
Yeah.
I jumped around a little bit, and I'm sorry, but what I wanted to ask you earlier before I just asked about your kids was Towermen. How old were your kids when you started that?
So it's pretty funny. So Lax.com actually did like a documentary on our program, I think like 2 years ago, and I was online in the documentary, and it all stemmed from hockey. You guys will get a kick out of this. But I think AJ was like 5 or 6 at the time. Is when they first started traveling for hockey. But we went. Remember do you know the hub in Long Island?
Yes, I do.
It's
Absolutely.
like a super small rink
Yep.
in Long
Yep.
Island.
Yep. Yep.
So I'm sitting there. I'm sitting there like waiting for their game to start, and there's like some little grass fields there,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
little grass turf
Yep.
fields.
Totally.
And I'm watching these kids that have to be, 6 years old, and they're playing lacrosse really well and passing and catching and they're hitting. And I literally like walked onto the grass field and I like flagged down an adult and I'm like, how old are these guys? He's like, oh, they're like 6 and 7. And I go, these guys are playing like real lacrosse. I thought they didn't like start till third grade. And the guy's like, this is Long Island, man. Like we
Yeah,
get
that's
going
what they
early.
do, yeah, for lacrosse.
And then I go home and I asked the guy from Richmond, I go, hey, when do you guys get going? They're like, well, we start our first, live action in third grade. And I'm like, okay, that kid from Long Island is gonna bury my kid.
Right. It's true.
Absolutely.
So I get AJ, and then now Will's younger than that. I get AJ and then his younger brother, and I bring him to a roller rink in Ridgewood, and I get a couple dads that wear hockey masks, and we stand in net, and I'm like, hey guys, anybody that's athletic or likes to run around, and we scrimmage them in this roller rink lacrosse week after week after week, and
Wow.
and I started seeing them getting good, right? And I don't know anything about lacrosse. I don't. You can become a YouTube expert, right? You could teach them how to cradle from YouTube. You teach them how to shoot from YouTube. So I was
Yep.
doing that, and then they were getting better and better every week. And I'm finally like, all right, like we should take the show on the road. And we went to a tournament in Long Island and buried everybody in Long Island.
No.
Wow.
And it was
Really?
like to the point where I almost like cried at the end of it. And it was like, and the other dads who took this journey with me were like hugging, and I'm like,
Yeah,
that
they must
was
have
the
loved
most.
it. Yeah.
And we're like, we don't know shit. We don't know shit.
Right. And you just struck gold.
And we struck gold. And then like we went to another tournament and won that. Went to another one and won that. And then now I'm like, okay, I am trying to find. Then my kid played football, and anybody that was tough in football, I'm like, hey, plucked him, plucked him, plucked him.
Yep.
He made All Stars that year. Anybody in All Stars that was a badass, I plucked him, and then that's sort of how we built.
That's unreal because Ridgewood has got like
Wow.
even when I was a kid and played lacrosse in high school, I mean Ridgewood was always a super strong lax program. So that must have you probably were also in the community. You had a lot of that like kind of DNA like woven in already, right? Were there a lot of lacrosse families that like you just got to talk to pretty quickly, or did you like kind of like were you a parallel path to what was going on in Ridgewood, like or an alternative?
Yeah, it was a little alternative, right? I don't think Ridgewood was super supportive of me. Ridgewood's like, "Hey, fall in line, do what we
Right.
do,
Oh,
start in 3rd
really?
grade." I'm starting a club like in a town that's like you said, like known for lacrosse, but I did feel like the game was changing. I felt like it was you have to get started earlier, and that was my trip to Long Island. That original team went from 2nd grade all the obviously all the way through. We lost some players along the way. Some players got recruited away from us. Some players reclassed, but we got as far as 4th in the country.
Wow.
We almost made it to the ESPN at the we made the World Series of Youth Lacrosse. We finished 5th at the World Series out of 24 teams
Amazing.
um, in
Wow.
North America. And on that team, that original OG team, the amount of commits is the most insane thing. I mean, a UNC commit, a UVA commit, a Colgate commit, Penn
Jesus.
State,
Oh, big time lacrosse. Yeah,
two,
yeah.
that whole team that took the journey with us,
Yeah.
2 Loyolas, like everybody went.
That's
Everybody went
cool.
Division 1. So it was like, and then somebody asked me to replicate it for another team, and we did that, and now we're a full blown club. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Wow.
I remember when at the Avs when we're starting to like learn just about like like the families in the building. And obviously I knew Nolan, but at the time I didn't know like he had older brothers. And then like someone was saying, he's like, yeah, Nolan's got 2 older brothers. They're like ridiculously good at hockey. And then like learned a little bit more about how good they were. And then someone says to me, you're not going to believe it, but like AJ, he's even better at lacrosse. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, really? So just kind of turning the table a little bit back towards hockey, right? So now, so when during this journey did they start playing hockey, and kind of like what was that road like in terms of like getting them, uh, growing their love for that sport? Since you obviously have a whole club lacrosse program, and kind of like was it like immediate success like on the ice, or was there like this kind of like it took a little time, and then all of a sudden there was you noticed that they had like super talents.
Yeah, like every kid kind of comes out a little bit different. Obviously, AJ started. I think the second James, do you have how many boys do
I,
you have? Or
I have 2, but I have 1 that plays. Only my 2012 plays.
okay, okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was gonna say sometimes the second one comes. I don't know if you guys have a brother in the mix. Sometimes the second one comes out 2 years advanced. They're just following the older brother.
No,
Right.
not in my case.
All right, yeah. Um, so AJ started, and then like kind of Will went along for the ride. AJ was pretty unique. He was a fierce competitor. He was just such a grit monster and just such a competitor, but he was not a natural skater at all.
Mm,
Everything he did, he kind of just did because he was a competitor. Um, and then Will, when he first started skating, like he was a natural skater. He just came on the ice and just skated, more naturally than AJ did. But the 2 sports, I mean, the 2 sports, I just felt like I felt like there was like an epiphany moment. I'm like, they're so complementary.
Yes.
I mean, if the way you hold the lacrosse stick is you just holding it up here and then like a hockey stick's down here, and now I felt like so good because when my kid's playing hockey, he's building up his butt muscles and he's building up his quads, and his stick is getting so like he doesn't have to be playing lacrosse, he can be playing hockey. And I know his lacrosse stick is going to be 10 times as good when lacrosse season
right.
happens,
Right. The
and
hand-eye.
vice versa.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the funny thing is that like, my kids would play 6 months of hockey, 5 days a week. They would play one lacrosse tournament, and I'd get like the moans in the morning, and I'm like, I can't walk down the stairs. I'm so sore. And I'm like, what the hell? Like they couldn't walk down this. I'm like, dude, you just played 6 months of hockey.
Yeah. What's the
I
deal?
could see the bubble in your butt, and like you can't walk down the stairs. But like that's your calves, that's your hamstrings, like. And then I'm like, oh my God, like this is so important. Like if they just played hockey, their calves, their hamstrings, those fire muscles wouldn't be as strong. So I felt like I hit it. I felt like this is, my kids don't need to be 6'4". We're in a geographic area, at least for lacrosse, where you could go to the highest level.
Yep.
Hockey's a little more of a challenge, right? Because we're the idiots that are on the roads all the time, going to
Totally.
Boston or Detroit or Canada, but
That's right.
um, but yeah, and then I just like rinse, wash, repeat with those 2 sports. I played a little bit of football. And both boys had really nice football careers until I made them stop. the hardest thing about football is that if you're a good athlete or a competitor, what ends up happening, and I don't know if you guys watch little guy football or any of your kids played football, but if you can run the ball and you're the top runner, you'll run the ball 18 times a
A
game.
lot, right? Because that's the game when you start.
And by the way, they'll make you middle linebacker and you got to make every tackle, right? So, and now a kid who's not so good, maybe they'll put him at wide receiver, maybe they'll put him at safety or cornerback, and like he's not involved. But I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, these three are not sustainable. Like
Right.
the amount of hits my kids are taking now is just, we only have one human body, right? So what are you going to do?
Right.
So you made them stop playing football at what age? What age did you shut it down for them?
Yeah, so AJ going into his 6th grade year, he stopped. Will
Okay.
and then once he stopped, like Will played 1 year, was like a flash in the pan, had a really good year, and then I'm like, yo, we're done with your brother. Let's
Right, we're gonna go do something else.
yeah. And honestly, AJ was gonna come back his senior year at Ridgewood, and he would have been like, I think he would have been a starter, and I feel like football you can come back to.
Interesting.
I think that's true, by the way. If you're an athlete, you can come back. You could start it as a freshman in high school and be good and get a college scholarship on it, right?
Yeah.
Hockey and lacrosse, I think, are different sports.
Yeah, can you imagine both of your sons quit 3 years of hockey and tried coming back in high school?
There's
Like,
no way.
Oh,
Right? No way.
there's no way.
No, no way.
No way.
it's like, and the
Yeah.
cool thing about hockey, by the way, which is very untalked about, is that when it comes to high school and playing on your high school team, the cool thing about that is that like nobody can get an advantage on you. Like somebody can, like if someone's not playing football, they can figure out how to run a 4.5 and put on a lot of muscle and take your spot in the football field. If you're a freshman and you can't skate, like no one's taking your spot, dude.
That's right. It's over.
Totally.
Your spot's safe.
Yep. So as far as the so hockey, the kids started so how old were they? About like when did their journey start? They were
So AJ was like, I don't know, AJ maybe was like 5 or 6, and
So
then
5 or
Will
6.
now was like a 4. Because when again the
earlier.
younger brother always benefits, and
Yeah,
then
totally
if we're at the rink, we can try to find something for Will, and then he was started at 4.
right. And so they were always so AAA, they tier 1, that was their track the whole way through.
No, not at
No,
all.
it
And
wasn't.
and I pushed, like I didn't like I convinced them to put both boys in the same team, right? So Will was playing up,
Yeah.
but we were double A, and I loved every second of it because it was local. It was get to the game and get home. They were double A until Pee Wee, and
Okay.
then I was getting a lot of heat for not playing triple A
Interesting.
at a certain point. And then we
Was
made
that
the move.
intentional at a certain point to keep them at tier 2 before making the jump, or it was more circumstantial?
This is kind of funny, but I'll give the Avs a little bit of crap right now, but they definitely both boys did really well in the same team together, and I was trying to continue that as long as I can, and they were forcing the split.
Oh,
Right. That doesn't surprise me because
interesting.
I don't think so. So the difference in age with your two boys is 2 years. Am I right about that?
2 years, yeah.
Right. So is it easier to play kids on the same team at tier 2 than it is at tier 1? Is that why they made you do the split? Like that type of stuff?
Yeah, well, yes. The team we actually this is a crazy story, but they're in their final year together. The tier 2 state championship, we were down 3-0 with 2 minutes left to go. And this was like one of the most insane games of all time until the Will High School Ramapo game. If you remember that one, Scott, but we were down 3-3, and then AJ scored 1, Will scored 1. This kid, Andrew Sherlin, scored 1, and then we won in overtime. So in that 3-minute window, we tied the game, forced overtime, and then won the little guy tier 2 state championship. And then after that, I'm like, oh my God, we're doing this next year. And then all of a sudden it was like,
They're like, nope.
nope, you're not doing this next year.
Game over.
Sorry,
Game
guys.
over. That's why. And just I don't even think we mentioned this yet, but just to kind of also like paint the landscape of like how much your kids have achieved, just to give a little context for people listening. So AJ is D1 commit to Penn State to play lacrosse next year. Is that correct?
Yes.
And Will is like a top 2010 hockey prospect in the country. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, he's got to stay there, but hopefully he stays healthy. He's in a good spot. It's been,
No, of course. I mean, I get just so people can understand, like, I guess to the amount of success you've had, as a family, as the boys as individuals. Will was at the USA 15 developmental camp over the spring summer.
He was, yeah.
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 And so, I mean, I also think it's worth pointing out just because I've never even heard this before, and I remember towards the end of last season, because we auto skates with Kimmer in the morning on Thursdays. We see each other. Um, but I don't know, I was just talking to like Mike about things, and he's like, yeah, I think Will maybe had gotten off the ice, and he's like, yeah, he's gonna play U16. And I'm like, wait a second, he's gonna like be a double underager and play 16. He hasn't even body checked yet, right? That was his first year of body checking, was 16 Premier. Or no, did I mess that up?
No, it might have been maybe the year before.
The year
I
before.
mean, but again, this goes to the multi-sport aspect of everything.
Right.
Like he was also playing up in lacrosse, and lacrosse is way more physical. I think Wayne
Right.
Gretzky will agree with me on that one too.
Right. Yeah, he totally said that. Yeah.
So I actually have a question. So it fits in here because I wrote it down before you got on, Anthony. So Will is playing 2 birth years up. Okay. So he obviously knows that he's a very good hockey player, right? Is it hard to keep him grounded and not let his head get too big and keep him humble? Is that hard to do as a parent?
Yeah, you know what it was. So James, that's actually a really good question because that was like, not that it was hard keeping him grounded. I think we always talk about hockey, right? Everyone chirps, right? Chirps you, chirps you, chirps you.
Yeah.
Now, nobody in the 16U level wants to see a 14U kid come at them. Right. So it was beyond chirping, right? Like he always had a target on his back. And that season, just beyond being successful, like he had so much coming at him. And he has a lot of like emotional maturity for, way more than like my 2015, who was a total psychopath. Like, like
Nolan's the best.
Nolan is the best, but like no one can't handle that. Like Will could handle that. And I think
different makeup, right? Different, yeah.
But those first 2 months of just like, yo, you're overrated. Like, what are you doing here? Like just all that stuff. And then even like, and I made him play high school. Like I didn't act like he was too good for high school hockey. I'm like, dude, you're playing high school hockey with your brother. Like, go try to win a state championship. But he always got chirped. And then I'm like, I sat with him and I'm like, if you play like you're trying to prove how good you are, you're going to be awful. I'm like, you just got to be you. And the best thing about that season is that first 2 months, you could see him emotionally reacting on the ice every time. I know somebody said something to him, and then he would try to have a monster hit or he'd go after, and he threw him out. The guy threw him out of his whole game.
Right.
And then finally, after 2 months, like he didn't give a shit. Like he didn't care. And I mean, back in the day, if someone's like, "Oh, your mother,"
yeah.
And he, oh, I lost you.
No,
I think
you
should be good.
No, we got you back.
Back.
You just came back. Yeah, you good. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. So he wouldn't break anymore. So that was awesome.
That's nice to see as a parent, to see your kid kind of be able to kind of lose it emotionally at first and then kind of figure it out, and then it kind of clicks, and it's almost like self-regulating, right? Because you mentioned your 2015 is a lunatic. My 2012 is a lunatic. My 2012 gets super emotional and it throws off his entire game. He's got to figure it out.
Yeah. James, I love that question so much because owning a lacrosse club and owning owning a lacrosse club and like seeing it in hockey, and you guys have been a part of teams, right? And how much entitlement do you see creep into these kids, man?
Yes.
How about when even the parent, right? Like, tell me the parent's not walking around like he's hot shit when, their kid's the leading scorer on the team, right? And you're like
100%.
And I'm like, dude, this is like, these scouts in the NHL and these college guys are old school dudes. They're grit monsters. They like to fight. Like they, if you celebrate too much, they're shaking their head and scratching, scratching your name off the list. And
absolutely.
And the
Yes.
worst thing about it is it's the entitlement piece is hard to control, right? Because even in lacrosse, like if there's a really good like lacrosse player, like you want to keep him in your club. You know, you want to keep him in your club. Like you really respect him and you're trying to like, you're trying to make him happy, right? Because they are clients, they can leave you, right? So the Avalanche, the Saints, if there's a good player, they get a little different attention because the club wants to keep them there.
Right.
When it comes to high school, the high school, the prep schools, they all call them. And these heads get so goddamn inflated.
Mm.
And they're just in the beginning of their journey, man. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, and it was. I mean, that's why I loved that question, James, because it was hard, it was, and we never had social. Like Will's
Totally.
thrown up on social with crazy shit. Like
On
he's the best
Clanko-
player in North
On
America. And I'm like,
Clanko Media and shit like that. I know.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I
dude,
know.
there's a kid in Minnesota that's gonna be 6'5" this year. And by the way, like he's gonna take hockey serious and he's gonna want to take your head off. Like keep thinking you're good, dude.
And it's funny, that kind of leads into my other question, because my kid is starting to get like that, and I'm trying to bring him down, a bunch of notches, saying like, listen, you got to be humble, you got to just take care of your business and do your thing. So my other question that I have, which is kind of tied to that, is I guarantee that Will was your older one probably too, but I guarantee you that the Don Boscos, the Bergen Catholics, the Del Bartons, the St. Joe's came after your boys to go play high school there, and you didn't take them to play private, which most better player parents do. So I'm curious, what was the thinking behind that and leaving them in Ridgewood and not having them play private?
Okay, you guys will agree with this too, and I think you'll see this. So so many parents and so many people want to package their kid on the best team possible because they somehow think that because they're on the best team or the number one team or number top 10 team in the country, that their kid's a top 10 player, right? And I always say that they try to stand on the shoulders of other good players and be like, look at me, like look how good I am.
Right.
And high school hockey is the ultimate it keeps you level and it keeps you grounded because you might have like 2 or 3 AAA players and and other pieces you have to figure out and get creative with playing against, Don Bosco, which is, 3 AAA goalies, 6 AAA defensemen, 9 AAA forwards, and you're just going to sit there and get your ass kicked. But the thing is, you have to fucking own it. Like my kids own the losses. Like you just take it. Like you pour your heart out, you don't sell out, you bust your ass, but you have to own it. And they never like, I let them like fight it out. And yeah, sometimes they land on awesome teams and sometimes like, their teams, Will's teams right now is great, but I made sure that they didn't, it wasn't their entire, they had all different experiences that it wasn't like, how about Mid-Fairfield, right? Because of the brick, Mid-Fairfield gets these monster teams at 7 years old, where these kids are flying in from San Diego and Texas to play in the best team, right? So now you have a kid that's on the number one team in the country. He thinks he's awesome because he's on the number one team in the country. And he's like, I'm going to the NHL at 7 years old. And then in the springtime, everyone's trying to get the Mid-Fairfield kids. So they're playing on another awesome team in the springtime.
Yep.
They never have a non-awesome situation. Everything is just awesome.
Right.
Then they go to the brick.
True. That's a good point.
And it's awesome, awesome, awesome. And you know what ends up happening? Then you go to the USA National Development Team. And they're like,
and it's a rude awakening.
Yeah. And you're like, you know what? That awesome little line you had, that perfect little power play, I'm going to strip you from that. You're going to play with some random dude that you don't know from another side of the country.
Let's see how you handle it.
Yeah. Go make your own way, pal. Like, and I love every minute of that. That fucking fired me up.
So that was part of what you saw with Will over this at the USA camp, right?
Yeah. And like, I felt like he had a really nice camp and I felt like I did it right, man. I felt like I put him through so many experiences, good, bad, or indifferent, that like he was battle tested and he could like be his own person. And this journey goes to a funnel, right? Where you're stacking teams, you're trying to get on the best teams. And then you kind of realize when you get to the end of it, it's kind of individual, you got to go make your own way.
So, and that's so interesting, just the way you kind of put that, just not always being on the best team and having everything perfect and awesome. But like in terms of like both, your kids and any one of them, you can answer this too. But like, in terms of their own personal mindset and being dedicated and, going through that rinse, wash, repeat cycle, right? Like, were there times along the way where it became too much too early, where they were like either at like breaking points, where that maybe they thought like this isn't for me or it's too much, or like did you just like like your family's DNA, like they were just like go go go?
Yeah. I mean, I think in the recruiting season for lacrosse for AJ, that was asinine. Anybody that's going, there was one stretch where there's 9 days of 25 lacrosse games, right? These kids are of the age
Jesus.
where they hit, where they could get injured, and like 25 games in 9 days was the most insane thing ever. And I didn't even care if he got recruited at the end of his lacrosse season. I'm just like, I was just so happy that he's in one piece, so that was nuts.
Right.
I'm like, dude, you're healthy, dude. We can go get a burger. Like, this is amazing.
Yeah, we can
I
get
don't
a
have to
burger.
carry
It's
you in the
awesome.
door.
Yeah, this is like so sick. But we said no to a lot of spring hockey.
Yeah.
We said no to a lot of spring hockey, and I would dangle like one cool spring tournament for each boy that they would get to do, and it'd be like Christmas morning, right? Because they'd say like they'd have 2 or 3 months of lacrosse, and all of a sudden they would get a hockey tournament, and it would be awesome. But I don't think the burnout really happened because of the multiple sports.
Interesting.
Right. We actually talk about that a lot on this, right, Scott? We've talked about burnout. Doug Christensen was talking about burnout, the commissioner of the ECAC. It's funny. A lot of guys like you, Anthony, and guys like Doug, they think about the development piece for their kids in an entirely different way. And just listening to you talk, you and Doug have a lot of similarities. You guys look at stuff from a totally different way than I think most hockey parents and hockey dads look at things.
Totally.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
No, thanks. I mean, it's funny. I think, listen, Will came out with a nice amount of skill. Like, he really, like, naturally he was a good skater, but it's funny, like, AJ, led the AY in scoring and was, top on his Avs 16U team. And like, but he did it not by naturally being a good skater. So I think there's a couple, you could definitely leg it out. I think you have to have, I think you have to have the compete. I think that's what everything establishing the compete at a young age is everything, in my mind.
And what was that like? Like, so what kind of messages are you reinforcing at home? Like, were there anything in particular that you were very intentional about at home, raising your kids to foster that compete?
So my wife thinks I'm psychotic, right? Because everything is a competition.
Yeah.
I remember
life is a competition.
I know. I think the boys, but it definitely spiraled out of control. I remember they were going to, we had a friend from town that lost a child, and it was a charity.
Oh, geez.
It was a charity turkey bowl football game. And I remember I'm like, hey guys, we're gonna go play in this. I'm like, I love this family dearly. These two idiots played in this, and there's like all different ages that were playing in this stupid turkey game, and they acted like it was like, I don't know, the Super Bowl. And they were like yelling and cursing and fighting. And I'm like, I literally got home and I like grabbed them both by the collar. And I'm like, I'm like, you guys are like, so, but I was the problem, right? I built that level of compete in them. And then I'm asking them to kind of like turn it off. But I'm like, dude, this is a charity game on Thanksgiving. And, so I was intentional about like, and I would always like poke them and mess with them and, kind of, but somehow like the brothers like came together. Like they weren't competitive with each other. Like, I give AJ so much credit because I think Will gets a lot of hype in the hockey world, but AJ has his back and is not insecure at all with his brother. Like, his brother blew up in high school, and like, AJ got second team all state, but Will got first team all state.
Right.
But it was never like him being upset. Like, he loves his brother, and like, I don't know. I think that was cool. Like,
that makes cool. That's proud, different. Yeah, you should be, because that's a rare trait, I think.
Yeah, he's 2 years older, right? And then and even last year, like, he's got his younger brother playing on his like 16U Av team with all of his boys, and all of his
Right.
boys are not like, some of them were not like at the beginning, not too fond of like, dude, what is your younger brother
Brother.
doing here?
Right.
And he owned it. He's like, dude, he'll help us. He'll help us win. Like, let's win. And then, and
Yeah,
then that was,
that's yeah, I didn't, I didn't even think about that. Like when we, like when I thought about like just like Will playing up, I was, but then realizing obviously that like AJ's got like that's his crew. Like now
yeah.
and like I could imagine that put him in like a tough spot sometimes. And like that's amazing to hear that, that he had his brothers back. I mean, and they went on to have a great season.
Yeah, listen, they're the only team. So this is crazy. They had a 30-game win streak at one time, right? Where they beat
Unreal.
BK twice. They beat the Rockets twice, who were like 5th in the country. And they're the only team. They were the only team last year in North America to beat Shaddix, right? So a team from New
Oh,
Jersey,
nice. Beat
and
a team
Shattuck
from
ended up winning.
Minnesota. Yeah.
Yes, Shattuck
Yeah.
St. Mary ended up winning the 16U national championship, and they beat him twice. Like that was huge, and it was at their home court, So that was kind of cool.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
impressive.
So over the years, the boys were just like always fiercely competitive. In terms of like AJ, you were talking about like just a different makeup than Will. It sounded like he had there was potentially more work to be done to kind of foster those talents. We also talk, James and I do, about like how there's like, hockey can be such a money grab, how there's no shortage of people that are willing to take your money. You mentioned like all the spring tournaments that like you did limit, but in terms of like the extra, the beyond like the club practices, the club stuff, the spring, club practices, like how much extra, were your boys and that, for AJ maybe and Will too, it could be for lacrosse also. I don't know anything about like the extra stuff there, but is that something that started at a young age also? And kind of like to what extent did you kind of dive into that?
Yeah, honestly, when you get into like, it's a good question, Scott. And I think when you got into the AAA world, right, then all of a sudden you're kind of like, okay, the competition definitely is better, right? I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of kids can play. So my brother kind of gave me good advice, and my brother-in-law, excuse me, gave me good advice. Like he thinks systematic training weekly doesn't have to be a long time, but over a long period of time, right? So say you go every Tuesday for 8 weeks, right?
Yeah.
And you do a power skating every Tuesday for 8 weeks. He thinks that's way more effective than a concentrated, like say your kids go to a power skating camp for 4 days, for 3 hours a day.
Right.
He thinks 1 hour a week for 8 weeks is way more
Effective.
powerful.
Right.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
So Scott, I would see you in the mornings, right? Like I would see you in the mornings, and we would do like a Tuesday and Thursday in the mornings,
Yep.
with Kimmer, and we did that for a long period of time. AJ, and then you would splice in maybe like a power skating guy. But I mean, you guys all know, we all know the math about hockey. We all know that, especially nowadays, a tournament away is probably like $2,000.
Yeah.
And then you take that $2,000 and you divide it by $50, and
Absolutely. You use it for skills. Take that money and go do skills.
but none of us do. None of us, I'm saying like the hockey world doesn't do it, right? It's like,
Yeah.
I do now. I do.
Yeah, no, it's smart. It's like,
Yeah.
it's smart. There was a kid. I love this family. There was a kid. His name is Tyler Koff, and he's from
Okay.
Ridgewood. And Tyler Koff came through the Avs, right? Played with the Avs his whole career, and was a AAA guy. And he never played up. He played 4 years of AAA with the Avs, 16U, then 18U, and he was a good player. Always like a good player. He ended up getting bigger. Scott, hopefully your guy, you're a big dude, so your guy should get big. But he got bigger. And his dad was very methodical. Like his dad's the man. Like I love talking to him. He's very, very methodical. He never got too high, never got too low. It was just like, keep training. His kid had the grit, right? So he knew that. And then I think he started in the null, played in the null, and then like did well, moved up to the BCHL, did well in the BCHL, kind of had a good month or so, and then got a commitment from Brown.
Wow.
Went to
Nice.
Brown, had 2 years of Brown, and then just got drafted by the Sabres.
Wow.
And now is, playing in the AHL. But he's a very quiet underground hockey story. And his dad would like, always assess his game, and he's a big kid. He'll take a puck off the neck, which I heard he did that multiple times. Like, he's that
Oh,
crazy of a kid.
Jesus.
Like, he was one of those kids where, like,
That's impressive.
No fear.
I don't think he was on the Avs power play much. He was always on the penalty kill, but he was that kind of kid.
Right.
But his dad's like, I gotta work his edges. I gotta get him more power. Like, I gotta do power skating. So he's very methodical about building this kid up.
Yep.
But he took the long way. It's not like, he played for any insane team or.
And that's part of that's the interesting thing, like living in such a highlight society, like you mentioned, like social earlier, how that's so prevalent, and like everyone's just watching like highlights of games and not watching full games, and they just want to like replicate like all these skill moves and all these things yet, or be like the next like true freshman playing D1, or being that like teenager, whatever. You see the Celebrinis, etc. McKinnon, Gavin McKinnon at Penn State now, but like there's so many stories of people that just like methodically, like you said, year over year, just get better at the age that they're in, and they don't quit and they keep going. And then over time, they'll, they're just, maybe they're late bloomers or they mature later, but like you don't hear as many of those stories. And I think that that's a really important piece, because I think, myself included, when you're in the worlds of like, when you see AAA kids and that they're like studs and standing out, you're like, well, what's the quickest way to get to that? And that's not the right way to think about it.
No. I mean, Scott, let's take your son, for example, right? I mean, your wife is not as tall, right? How tall is she?
No, she's like 5'5".
She's killing
I'm
you,
the
man.
tall
She's
one.
killing you.
What?
You're a giant. I see you in the mornings. I'm like, I feel like I'm like, when Will starts going to this prospect stuff, I'm going to pretend you're the dad. So everyone's like, oh my God, the dad's mom. But listen, I mean, God willing, right? If your son starts getting that size, right, or he has that late growth spurt, like, you never know what could happen, like with that stuff, So I think the biggest thing, does your son love it, right? So you have to force him to go to the rink,
right? No,
and if you don't have to force him to go to the rink, and he's like super excited on game day and everything else,
I
don't know. What are you in a rush to do? Go work for a living? We all work for a living. It kind of sucks.
Totally.
Right.
But and that thinking though, and part of like what Jamie and I talk about often is just like what an emotional roller coaster being a parent in youth sports, probably broadly speaking, and we'll come off of a weekend where, like, let's say there's not enough effort, or there's whatever it is that we're like nitpicking, or that's just or just true at the moment. But we also talk about like maybe they just haven't figured that part out yet. And it's like, I want certain things to be different now. And I think to myself, well, I can't believe we're not past this yet. But at the end of the day, it's like you said, like at least our kids right now, or, they're still younger. Jamie's 12, 2012 just started hitting. Otto's, his first year Pee-wee. Like there's a long runway, and for me to like emotionally regulate myself and not get like totally like spun out over the fact that like, he's got a lot of time to learn. And it at the same time, like if you start working backwards, you're like, oh shit, maybe it's not that much time. So it becomes a bit of a mind fuck, and I think part of just like hearing like these different stories helps kind of like level that out, because I certainly have my moments of being like, oh shit.
Yeah. I mean, and no, you're right. And the other thing too is that, like, what annoys me about the state of hockey right now is that even, we always look at like, everybody in youth sports is always looking to the next step, right? Like everyone's talking about the next year in the middle of like December, right?
Already.
Like,
Absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
what team are we playing on next year? And then even in lacrosse, everyone's like, what college are you going to go to? Like, and I'm like, dude, like, and I remember like, I was at a Harvard camp, and my brother-in-law came and he was checking out the boys, and I go, dude, how, and maybe they were, I don't know, 13U, 14U, whatever the hell it was. But I was like, look, tell my brother-in-law, I'm like, look at this kid. He's like, what am I looking at? I'm like, dude, how nasty is this kid?
Right.
He's like, I don't care. Like, I don't know what he's going to turn into. He's like, this guy's so young. What am I looking at? Like, he didn't.
Right.
Like,
he wasn't seeing it.
He's not going to write the kid's name down. He's like, dude, tell me where he.
Right.
Dude, when he's 17, we'll talk. I mean, like, does he grow? I mean, is he still into it? Is he partying? Is he having girls? Like, is he like loves chicks? I mean, I don't know. Who the hell knows what the hell's going to happen?
We say that too. Wait till they find girls and drinking. Just wait.
Oh,
everything changes.
Yeah. That totally changed for me. I'll tell you that much. When I was in high school, and that's when I stopped playing like hockey, when I realized that like I, sacrificed a lot. And it was a different landscape with hockey back then because there wasn't as much of a community locally for hockey, and I wasn't surrounded by as many like-minded people. And my
Yep.
friends were out hanging out, and I missed that for like the first 4 years of high school. And I was like, I kind of want to catch up. And I knew I wasn't going to go play college hockey or at like a super high level. Like I talked to some like D3 schools, and I just didn't want to go to like the bumblefuck to play hockey. I wanted to go to like, whatever, have a more normal school experience, or what I thought was a more normal school experience. But what I wanted to get to is in terms of like your boys and like just staying focused on like, the assignment, focused on the mission of like, continuing to get better. What's that been like at home, trying to like balance that, or like what kind of conversations you have with your kids in terms of like, he's AJ's off to college, obviously he's very serious in all this, but like, have you talked a lot about like these pitfalls and kind of how to navigate that?
Um, yeah, what's pretty funny? I think when you're younger, you're like kind of like a dog trainer with the kids. You're like trying to get them fired up, and you're like, you're in the car blasting music, and you're like, go out and like you better skate your butt off today, and like you're
Yeah.
like the
Yep.
and then all of a sudden your kids get it. Like they don't need you to fire them up. They're fired up, and then it's kind of cool because then you could start having like intellectual conversations about the game and what they're seeing on the ice or what they're seeing on the field and what would their decision making was about and what team are they playing and what is going to be their strategy against you and how are you going to counteract, and all of a sudden like you're like actually having, you're going to a game and you're talking like you're actually having like a
Like
deep
a
like a
mindful conversation about like strategy and skill. And like, that's great. That's tremendous. I'm not
yeah.
there yet. That's for sure.
No, no, no. Yeah, I mean, no, no, and then it's kind of like I don't need to fire them up. Like they're gonna get, once they see the other team and they start skating around, they're gonna want to like, they're gonna want to go after it. But
Right.
and then even after the car afterwards, right? Like they don't need me to say like, dude, you had 3 very bad shifts. They're gonna be like, what was going on? Like, it's almost it goes back to a conversation, and those are like, and then
Right.
all of a sudden your kids are responding to you, and you're like, God damn it, why am I even questioning them? Like they know way more than I do. Like,
Right.
like you know, um,
Right.
so yeah, it shifts.
It's funny, to kind of play off that, what were the conversations like in the car? Because we talk about the car conversations after the games a lot, right? Sometimes they can be really bad, sometimes they can be really good. What were the car conversations like with your kids when they were younger?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, they were diehard competitors. So I mean, if they lose, I mean, like I dealt with tears for a while, like I mean that is a part of it. They're
Yeah.
just, so some of that was, sometimes I was pissed, but I mean, but truth be told, like you see some parents that like, it's very not constructive, the conversation they will have in the car, and
Right.
that is a whole big part of the development,
Yeah.
so I don't know, man. I don't know. Like I was, almost like pulling something good, something bad, and just kind of just talk it out. But sometimes they didn't want to talk. But I mean, I was just never I was just never a total a-hole, like,
Hmm.
you almost gotta, like, know when to be when
Yeah.
you gotta be pissed off and, like, and be mad at them because they're not, giving effort or whatever it is, and you kinda know when they need an injection of confidence,
Yeah.
Right.
it just can't be some of these parents are just like, it's all, it's all fire all the time.
Right. Right.
That's exhausting for a kid, in
It's
my opinion.
exhausting for a parent. I don't know.
I
I
think
mean,
that's true. Yeah.
it's it's
Yeah.
exhausting broadly speaking for sure. Um, wow. So just like probably going to start wrapping things up, but like in terms of like what the future holds, for the boys and kind of like next steps and kind of like as a parent, how you're kind of navigating this because you have some transitions on the horizon, certainly with AJ going off to school. What as a parent, like what's that like for you, and like how are you kind of handling all that stuff?
So Will's hockey journey might, God willing, he stays healthy, might alter after this year. And for so long, I mean, he's been with one club his entire life, which that's not everyone's fortunate enough to have that experience, just because of coaches leaving or whatever hell
Right.
happens. Like, I'm happy, like, I'm very glad he's had that journey. But I can't even tell you how early, like, opportunities have been flaunted to him. Like, hey, go away here, come to prep school. You got to be doing this. Every dad that you guys talk to, right, I'm sure is adamant that they know the path. And I think the one thing with hockey is that there's so many stupid paths. I mean, it's all over the place, and every story has a different turn or whatnot. So I think the one thing that I really wanted for my kids is that Will's a sophomore. He's played for one club team. He's had some really great teams, awesome friendships. He's had 2 years of normal high school where he's gone to school, like he's had a girlfriend. He has he's gone out on the weekends and enjoyed himself with his buddies. And like now I feel like if he has to leave the house after sophomore year, he's had a normal childhood and up to this point where he's got a foundation. I think so many people in hockey take away foundation, right? They're homeschooling them, right? So they never have that socialization. All they know is a hockey rink, and they're pulling them to BK or something so early, or I'm going to send him out to Michigan, or he's going to live with an aunt. And then honestly, if it doesn't work out, dude, USA Hockey hides those stories. You
Right.
know, like you know, and by the way, like playing 4 years of high school hockey, scoring a lot of goals, like, and then even if like going to play club hockey, like, dude, that's an unbelievable road. Like
Yeah.
that's super awesome. And then by the way, and then playing club hockey, even though we spent a ton of money playing club hockey all those years, it kind of kept your kid out of trouble. Like it gave you countless hours of a car ride with your kid. Your son in and out. Like you slept in hotel rooms with him by himself and had some laughs and had some jokes.
Yep.
And then you got your high school hockey in, and then they possibly could get some club hockey in, and then maybe have men's league. I think some of the stuff has gotten so extreme that if it doesn't work out, there's going to be a lot of emotional damage done to these kids, because whether they disappointed their dad, whether they disappointed their family, whether every time that they're at a holiday function, everyone's like, oh, I heard you have all these privates. I heard you're on this #2 team. I heard man, we're really excited to see how this ends for you. Like that's a lot of pressure for the kid.
Right.
You know,
Totally.
Absolutely. That's kind of one of the reasons why I took my kid down to tier 2, and stopped doing all the spring stuff that we were talking about before. I try to focus on training and trying to give him some sort of normal where I'm not driving 2 hours to a rink or an hour and a half. I think you're doing it right, Anthony. I got to tell you, I really do. And it shows with your kids.
yeah, I hope. A real quick. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm. Thank you guys. I feel
No,
like
this is amazing.
No, it's great, man.
It's actually very
Yeah.
therapeutic. I feel like I'm talking crazy. I'm sorry.
That's the whole idea behind this podcast.
Yeah, you can do it anytime you want.
I have a friend that I grew up in the hockey world with that had 2 sons, and I love this family so much, and like our memories have been unbelievable. They've had 1 son. Now, what I didn't like about it is that what I don't like about hockey is that they make you quit other sports. So that pisses me off all the time. And even the club and the pressure of spring makes you give up everything, because my son loves hockey so much. Well, he also can love lacrosse. He also can love baseball. He also can love track. I mean, just let him do other stuff. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. But anyway, this family had 2 sons, and they had 1 son that was better than the other son at the game of hockey, right? And the other son was with the Avs to AAA for a long time. And he's always been a good player, went through 16U, didn't get drafted in the USHL, still has a very nice career, could have a good future in college hockey. Now is at prep school, but is grinding it out and trying to work his way to juniors. And, but that's a great road. But his other son was not as good as a hockey player, right? Oh, but by the way, they didn't let him play the good player. They didn't let him play high school hockey, which I always yelled at him about. They didn't let him play high school hockey. And he didn't play another sport because he was all in hockey. Hockey was his future. But the other son, they were a little less laid back because he wasn't as good of a hockey player, right? So he played a little AAA, but then he had 4 years of high school hockey where he was captain for the last 2 years. He set some records, got an all county award,
That's
Awesome.
did some cool stuff. He also let him play lacrosse. And by the way, he ended up being like an amazing face-off kid.
Wow.
And he was captain of his lacrosse team. He was captain of his high school hockey team. He had a real nice high school sports career where he got some recognition and cool stuff. He had a
Yeah.
girlfriend, went to his prom, did all that stuff. And he was a super smart kid. He went to the University of Alabama and is playing club hockey. And by the way, that school gets like 6,000, 7,000 people a night.
At a game.
I've heard that. Yes, it's
Yeah.
true. Okay. All right. So it is true.
And it's all live cast, right? So they have these like announcers and they're talking about it.
Yeah.
And he's in a fraternity. And every time I see a picture of him online, I'm like, dude, this is the happiest kid of all time.
He's
And
crushing
he's
it.
at the University of Alabama, and he's
Yeah.
wearing out, and he's at the big football games. He's playing club hockey. He's doing great in school. His socialization for days. Got a girlfriend. He's going to graduate and be very successful.
Right.
Now, again, did he go to the NHL? Did he play Division I hockey? Did he go to, I don't know, one of these random schools to play hockey? No, but like, dude, that was an unbelievable career. Now, his other son, God willing, he's going to play club hockey, and he's going to. The kid's a really good player, and he's going to. But again, he had to leave high school early. He went to prep school. He didn't play high school hockey. He loved baseball and was really good at it. He couldn't play baseball.
Uh-huh.
Now he's gonna have to fight through juniors, and he'll land in a college hockey team.
Yeah.
But and honestly, if any of these young parents would look at this kid, he was captain of the Avs, right? They would look at this kid and be like, I want my son to be like that.
Right.
And this other son, people were not like in the hockey world were like, oh, he's not going to play college hockey. I'm like, but dude, this kid did it right.
Right.
Yeah. Like you said before, isn't it funny how many different paths there are? And I think that's one of the things that why we have guys like you and Doug Christensen, because everybody's path is different. And it's crazy to hear, like, no one path is the same. And they're not going to be. We're going to have a gazillion people on this podcast over the next 10, 20 years, and you're not going to see one path that mirrors somebody else. They're all going to be different, which I think is awesome. And that's what we kind of wanted. We want all the different people that listen to us to hear all those different paths. There's no cookie cutter, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a player that I love that's in the Avalanche organization that's 2010. And I love his dad so much. And he's a European guy, and his son is as good of a hockey player in the 2010 class as there is. And I always joke around. I go, man, I'm like, wherever this ends up between Will and his guy will be hysterical because we're like an incubator. Like he homeschooled his kid. Any lesson that you go to in Bergen County or New Jersey or wherever you go, you will see this kid there, right? He's training him all the time.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Dominic was a mite when the kid you're talking about, he was 8, Dom was 5, and then his younger brother was like 6. all mites guy. I know exactly what you're talking about.
He's doing all spring hockey. He's all hockey all the time. He's always at rinks. So it's and he's super successful. And the kid is a really good hockey player, and he will be. He's a college hockey player.
Yes, he's a good hockey player. Yeah.
But I wanted to. He's developing a hockey player. I wanted to develop an athlete.
Yeah.
I wanted him to compete. I wanted him to. Yeah. I did it a different way. Hopefully they get to the same spot. But yeah, there's a lot of roads, man.
Yeah, and I really appreciate like hearing that you wanted to develop an athlete and not just a hockey player, because at the end of the day, I feel like a lot of people that I've spoken to, like if you're not all in, like, at kind of like at all costs, that like you're just like, you're not going to get there. Right. But like here you are just like saying how like important like the normalization piece was in different aspects for you and your family, for your kids. And like they're going on to achieve like, tons of success in sports. And so just to highlight the fact that like it doesn't have to be that like always like grinding out and like all the clinics and all the things and all the travel and blah blah blah, like you don't necessarily need that. Like that will work for some people, it's not going to work for everybody. So just because you see it on the Instagram and you see like all the things, it doesn't mean that that's the right path, right? Like
100%.
and it just and we've been talking for a long time. I really appreciate it. We're going to wrap it up, but just like on that note, like to what extent did you like take cues from your kids, like in terms of like how much to push or maybe even pull back sometimes? Like was there ever like points where like you had like an agenda in your mind, an idea about like a certain path, and then like you would like talk to them, or like they would give you some kind of indication that like maybe we should go in a different direction?
Yeah, I mean, I was always, obviously, if you guys have a podcast talking about hockey, right, you're really good dads, and like you're reading the room in your households. No, I
Yeah.
mean, no, James,
Depends on
everything
the
you said
day.
about your own son, you're reading the room, right? You're realizing what he needs and what he doesn't need.
Trying,
Um,
trying.
yeah, no, you're doing a good job, but yeah, I was constantly, you just knew when your kid needed a break, and you knew
Yeah.
when to kind of shut it down. Um, I keep on talking about multiple sports, but I think that was just that was so a 6-month hockey season is like no other. It's so long, so much travel. I can't believe we've done it with hair on our head, right? Like you guys have both hair in your head. Like it's
And it's
so
still relatively not gray.
no, it's
Relatively.
amazing. It's amazing. And it's like and but the thing is, like, I just loved, like, I'm like, all right, let's get the hell out of a rink.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, I got to get the hell out of a rink. Like, let's go sit on grass or something, and
Right.
just, so I
Yeah.
think that naturally just kept, uh, it naturally like kind of kept him into it. But yeah, I was always reading the room, and it's like,
Yeah.
when your kids are on the ice, especially in the middle of wintertime, like you're getting into a cold car and like it's a cold rink and there's germs everywhere, and your kids are like, you look at your kids are glassy eyed, and you're like, dude, like, I understand that we have, like, you know, 3 clinics to go to today, but, like, let's like,
Let's just
what
go
are we gonna
home.
get out of this?
Yeah.
Like, let's go watch a movie, man. Like, what are we doing?
Totally.
Like,
Totally. Oh,
Agree.
that's so refreshing. Listen, I think we're
Yes,
gonna wrap
it
up. James,
is.
did you have any other questions you want to get to, or
Listen,
think we're
I
good?
could go forever. So
Likewise, but
we're gonna have you on again. Is what's gonna have to
yeah,
happen.
no,
You know,
this was awesome, dude. And I just
Yeah.
want to thank you so much for your willingness to come on here and take some time out of your evening. I mean, I know you got a busy household, and it was just super refreshing. And I'm sure our audience is going to have a lot of takeaways from this, dude. Like, well done on all the
Yes.
success, both lacrosse,
Yes.
family, athletes, all of it, dude. Amazing stuff.
You're making me feel important, and it's like I haven't done anything, right? Like I was a Division III football player at best, right? And these guys were like, but like, it's such a dude. It's and not all my kids are athletes, right? I got my daughter who's literally hanging out and having a good time, but
Totally.
yeah,
No, of course, but like just like I guess what I'm really just I feel like just wanted to call out is just like there's a real sense of normalcy, groundedness, and like
Yes, I
and
agree.
like you're like, but like
You
at
could
the
see
same
it.
time like a high achieving, and you have the club lacrosse program, and I'm not
Yeah.
trying to pump your tires too much. I'm just just from like another dad to another, like you got a
no,
lot of
thanks,
shit
man.
going on, man, and like I'm sure there's plenty of things that are not always great,
Yeah.
but just you're crushing it, man. So well done, dude.
No, that makes me feel good. Thanks, guys. I appreciate the airtime. My wife's gonna listen to this. And she's like, "You talk so much. What's wrong with you? You're so."
No.
They
I'm
want.
not. I'm
Trust
not a
me.
narcissist. Don't.
Our audience wants to hear it. Trust me.
Yeah, dude.
Trust me. They want to hear it, which is why they keep coming back. Yeah. Thank you very much, Anthony. This was
Yeah.
really awesome, and best of luck to your boys, obviously, and your girls too. But we're gonna have to have you back on and give us an update on both your boys moving forward.
Anytime.
All
Yeah.
right, dude.
Thank you, man.
Take care,
Thank you,
Anthony. Thanks so
guys.
much. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, thanks,
All right.
guys.
Bye.
Welcome back to that awesome interview with Anthony LoSauro, Hockey Dad of the Year. He seriously actually might be.
Yeah, might be.
He I like how he keeps his kids like grounded. I really liked his answer about how, because his 2010 is a very impressive prospect.
Yeah.
Like will be playing a high level Division I hockey, like really high level. If
Yeah.
not, just bypassing it the entire way and just doing U.S. men's national team. I mean, the kid's he's been in our area for a while. I've known about him for a while. Dominic used to get on the ice after him,
Right. Yeah. You
over at
mentioned
the
that.
Avs. So but I never really knew the dad until we did this.
Yeah.
You did. I maybe said hi in passing, but I never talked to him. He's a pretty squared away guy. That was cool.
Yeah. Yeah. No
Yeah.
doubt. And one of the things that there's so many things, but just the idea of raising an athlete versus raising a specific sports player,
Yeah.
was really interesting. And not people talk about it all the time, but we all know families that are just like, and ourselves included at times, just get really kind of like, oh, awesome.
Sorry.
Good one, dude.
Sorry. My bad. My
you know,
bad.
get kind of those blinders on and kind of like go a little deeper, add another clinic, add another lesson,
Yeah.
add another tournament. But
Yeah.
like they definitely pulled back in the spring. You know,
Yes,
had his
they
boys
did.
doing all different sports, and he was so intentional about it. You know, just him talking about how like he was like, all right, well, like my genetics are not going to yield like the biggest kids, like football, like they're already at like, you know,
That was cool how he did that. I liked
yeah,
how he was thinking about what is the best path for his kids.
right. And then like he
That was
didn't
cool.
even play lacrosse, but then
He started a
for
lacrosse
his
club.
children
Yeah.
started
Yeah.
playing lacrosse with them, and
A
then
lacrosse club. Yeah. I mean, the
and
fact
then
that he had the wherewithal to see what was missing and to
right.
fill that gap, right, was impressive.
Fa-
And I think he said a bunch of D1 kids came out of that, which was nuts.
Yeah, and they're still coming out. It's like a
Right?
major
What was he saying?
program.
Like Cornell and like I'm trying to remember the names he
I
gave.
think it's at Princeton,
For instance, yeah, there was some high level. I
heavy
want to
duty
say he said
lacrosse,
UNC,
UNC.
Virginia, right?
Yeah.
Like big time lacrosse school.
But
So
think about that. Like we not only did he like identify a sport that was like complementary to hockey. Now I don't know. It wasn't so clear if that was like part of the thinking in the beginning because I don't know that hockey was already on the map for the
I think
boys
it
at that point.
worked out that way.
But it for no doubt it worked out. But even
Yeah,
just seeing like okay, we were talking about like body contact. Like in
yeah,
hockey, it's not part of the game at the young ages. Lacrosse is a different story. And I don't know what the exact rules are in lacrosse, but all I know is that
right.
when I took Otto to play in a tournament with the Towermen kids, like one weekend, there was no shortage of kids running each other over. Now, don't
Yeah,
get me wrong, there's risks involved with all, contact sports, but
sure,
the
sure.
idea that you're not like saving, all of the firsts for like testosterone fueled teenagers,
Yeah.
makes sense to me, you
Yeah,
know?
we touched on that. Yeah, which was really good because we've touched on that before on other shows. When do you start hitting, right? I mean,
Yeah.
lacrosse does not start hitting at 13. You
No,
know,
it's definitely earlier. So,
yes, makes you wonder why ice hockey's not doing it.
yeah,
You
and
know,
then, just and then also like noting football and like just like it was interesting to hear him just talk about referring to like all the car crashes, right? Like
yeah,
just like
yeah,
how much damage like it's not a sustainable sport in a lot of ways,
and how
and
he crossed it off the list because of that.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
and he thinks a lot like Doug Christensen. You
Yeah,
know,
kind of like
from our
like
episode two episodes ago.
yeah, and the word that comes to mind is just like it being very intentional. Like very
Yes,
intentional
in
with
his
like
thinking.
right. And like planning and looking at a big picture and not just,
Mhm.
looking at very short-sighted, or
Yeah.
short-term gains. It's like the long game, you know.
Yeah,
So,
I was impressed with his thinking. Again, he reminded me a lot of Doug. He did, and if you guys
yeah,
haven't heard our interview with Doug Christensen, I want to say it's
6,
36,
36.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a sick interview too. I mean, the two are very, very similar in their thinking.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, I was that when I liked everything he was saying. I think everybody will probably did already get a lot out of it. If you're this far already, you've already listened to him, and you know, I liked what I was hearing from him.
Yeah.
It was
And
impressive.
so one of the things in the beginning when we were talking with Anthony about his own journey, and he talked about how he's not the biggest guy in the world, but was a
Right.
football quarterback, had great hand-eye coordination. But he was like, when I got to high school, there was like however many like people like,
We said
trying out,
18, like
like
18 guys
17
at
or
QB.
18 like
Yeah.
quarterbacks trying out for the freshman squad, and that
Yeah.
he grinded it out over the course of 4 years, finally got some, I guess he was a starting QB his
As
senior
a
year.
senior. Yeah.
Right. So that's like 3 years of just like being on the team and like not
Just
quitting and
no,
being determined.
just
And
do
then
what
he
you got to
said,
do.
he was like, it wasn't until college where I finally realized the best version of myself,
Yeah.
and what I like about that is for so many of like our kids or, parents, in this highlight reel world,
Mm.
just see like kids that are achieving such great success at the younger ages or doing these phenomenal things. And it's like, if the average age, and there's a great article in the New York Times recently, and that kind of broke down like all the statistics of like the average age, the average height, the average weight, the average
Oh, you sent that to me.
of all
Yeah,
the
yeah,
different
yeah,
teams
yeah.
in the NHL and league averages. But like if the average age of like an NHL player is like, I don't know, 27 or 24 or whatever it was, I forget. But if you think about that, and it also talks about how like 12% of the players in the NHL go undrafted, which
Yeah.
is more than the number of players in the NHL that were drafted in the third round.
Yes.
So if you
Yeah.
think about a path to the NHL as like being an undrafted player, and what you're doing year over year is you're not the star, you're not the biggest stud in the world, you're just getting better.
You're
And
just
you're
stacking.
continuing to get good,
Yep.
and you're stacking success on top of success.
Yeah.
And by the time, I don't know, 21, 22, 23, 24,
Whatever
like you don't
it
have to be
is.
that 17-year-old draft pick.
No,
Like
you don't have to
just
be Jack Hughes.
don't quit.
You don't
Like
have to be right.
Right.
Just
like
if you want
Christensen
to
said,
do it, yeah.
we don't quit. Don't quit. Keep working
right.
hard.
That's right.
Give it all you got.
Yep. There's still a path, even though
there's a path.
I mean, so it's funny. Alex Kim, who we're having on shortly from the Anaheim Junior Ducks, he mentioned that to me when we were on the phone. He was mentioning at like 16U, he's like, you have a ton of time. Right?
Which sounds a little crazy.
Which sounds insane, but I think you have like 10 years, which is wild, but you do.
Right.
When we have mom, we need to clarify that what you have there, right?
Yeah.
But there are not a lot of kids that are studs that are going to come out as a 17-year-old and play like Macklin Celebrini. There's not a lot. And you don't have to be that kid, and that's
fine. You don't have to be that kid.
And you know what? Like Anthony LoSauro was also saying, it's okay to, be the captain of your lacrosse team or the captain of your high school hockey team and score a lot of goals and be the man and get some notoriety,
and then play club.
And go to college and play club, right? He told the story about the kid who went to Alabama, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and the kid's loving life. 4 years at Alabama, he's going to come out with a great degree. I guarantee you he had a blast. Right. He's got people watching him playing club hockey. I'm sure he's getting chicks all over the place because of it, And what's the problem with that?
No,
right?
No, it's a super success story.
Right.
And so I think there's so many people that would be thrilled if that's what they got to like look back on as their journey, and so there's just like I think it's easy to get caught up in all like the higher level stuff. And what was I just saw a clip with Billy Guerin before we got on call with you, and I think
Team USA, right?
Yeah, and he's the GM for the Minnesota Wild, former New Jersey Devil. But he was saying, he's like, one of the interviewer was asking him, like, I don't know, like maybe what players, are unwilling to do to go to the next level or something like that. And he was saying, he's like, there's so many kids that think they're like top line, top six player, and that if they get a chance to play fourth line, they're like, oh, I'm too good for that. He's like, but if you're like willing to do whatever it takes, then that's what you're going to do. He's like, I was a top player. He's like, my first year for the Devils, I played on the fourth line. And then for the next 5 years, I played on the third line.
You got to earn it, man.
You got to earn it.
You got to earn it.
And so he was basically saying, like, if you're willing to do whatever it takes, then just do whatever it takes, and don't let your ego get in the way of you, just continuing to make progress. So
it's funny you say that because Tom Brady mentioned recently where, when he went to the University of Michigan, like he was like the third string guy. So the first guy got like, 20 reps. The second starter got 20 reps. The backup got 10 reps and he got like 2.
Right.
So he was complaining. He's like, how am I going to get better? I'm getting 2 reps. Like, what am I supposed to do here? How am I supposed to improve, to move up the depth chart? And the coach said to him, he's like, you know what? He's like, you take those 2 reps. He's like, and you do them to the best of your ability, right? And you do them and that will grow into more reps. So what Tom Brady did, he all of a sudden changed his attitude and he had a good mindset. And he was positive. And I think he actually says in the interview, he's like, I went to the huddle for those 2 reps like it was like the Super Bowl. Yeah. He's all jacked up here, guys. Here's what we're going to do. Here we go. And what he did is he gave everything he had for those 2 reps. And those 2 reps turned into 4 reps. And 4 turned into 8 and so on and so forth, right? And now we know what Tom Brady obviously became, but the mindset, and this is, I think, what we have to work with our kids on, I know my kid moves down to the fourth line. He's like, I'm out of here. I'm going down to play another level. This is not for me. Right. You can't do that. You got to do the hard things. And if it's playing on the fourth line, it's playing on the fourth line.
Yeah.
You know, you got to go out there and you got to show your coach why he should be moving you up a line or
Yeah.
why he should be putting you on the penalty kill or on the power play. You got to
Yeah.
earn it, man. Nothing's going to be given to you.
No doubt.
You know?
Yeah, man.
And you got to do the hard things. And right now, my child, we're struggling with that. It's funny, Scott, he does the hard things sometimes, but then other times not. It's strange.
Look, we're still talking about kids, and consistency is not something that kids are probably known for.
Yeah.
You know? So look, and there's plenty of maturing to go on. And
100%.
look, I empathize with that. There's plenty of times where I think to myself, God, I can't believe we're past X, whatever X is, the X of the day, and then you start seeing some things like, oh, well, this thing over here is not something we were doing so well last year.
Something else popped up.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, okay, well, that's good. But like, there's probably some things, at least I know in my mind, that like I over index on, or like I'm just like maybe too fixated on. And if I just spent less energy and on that and gave more energy to like celebrating the things that are wins, that would probably help me out a little bit. And just knowing that like, okay, I wanted to see growth in this area and I thought we would have had that by now, but we're not there yet. But in this other area, that's really good. So, it's about perspective. It's about, not trusting that with time, as long as, you're teaching good values and instilling hard work and, helping your kids learn to love the game and, all that stuff, things should fall into place no matter how high of a level it's going to be. Right.
True.
Like,
and it's going to be what it's going to be.
Everyone's got their ceiling,
It's true.
So
very true. Yeah.
A day at a time, week at a time.
The mental side of the game, and we're going to have somebody on shortly who's going to address the mental side of the game. That's going to be a sick interview.
I'm looking forward to that.
He is so jacked up for it. We finalized that this morning.
Perfect.
So that's going to be a sick interview.
Let's go.
That's going to be awesome. His scheduler is better than the scheduler at the New Jersey Devils. Let's put it that way. but that's going to be, and that topic to me is going to be very, very, that's going to hit home because I think my kid struggles with the mental performance side of this game.
Yeah. But why should, here, let me ask you this question. Why should he be good at it? For what reason should he be good at it?
I don't have. You're probably right. He probably should be.
Why should he? But
I guess some kids are better than others.
No doubt, no doubt. But
I'll give you a perfect example, Scott. Here's what I don't understand. Would you agree that somebody who goes to a school that has 36 high level athletes in it of all different sports, football, basketball, baseball, lacrosse, everything, ice hockey, would you agree that somebody who could win an athletic challenge with those kids would be like beaming in confidence?
Yeah, that would be.
You would think so, right? Right.
Yeah, but don't oversimplify this either. I mean, I'm sure within the context of the school and that like activity, he's feeling like the man.
All right. So I'll give you, for instance. So before we left for Hershey on Friday, okay, Dominic went into school for half day before we left. Okay. And in the morning, they did this thing called, they do like a wall sit challenge where like, this was their plank challenge. You know what a plank is, right?
Yeah.
Plank, right. So all 36 kids, and these kids are, good athletes. They'll all be playing this private school sports somewhere around us in North Jersey. So they had to plank for a minute with a 15-second rest. Okay. And they saw who could last the longest.
Wait, so for after every minute, you get 15 seconds of rest and then you reassume the position.
Correct.
And then so you see who can last the longest.
Correct.
Right.
Okay. So Dominic is, for some reason, he gets up for competitions like that. Okay. So he won the plank competition with 50 minutes, 50.
What?
Yeah. He planked for 50 minutes. and I was talking to, so the guy who he's like a sports psychologist who runs
Stop.
a class at Dom's school. I dropped Dominic off at school yesterday morning, and Dr. Rob Gilbert, who has his own podcast, by the way, this man, I've been listening to Dr. Rob's podcast since I was like in college. It's called
Yeah.
the Success Hotline. You've reached Success Hotline. This is message number 12,974. The guy's ridiculous. So
Yeah.
if you guys want to hear like 4 minutes of like encouragement and like motivation, go look up the Success Hotline with Dr. Rob Gilbert. So Dr. Rob Gilbert teaches a class at Dominic's school. So it was his idea to do this plank challenge. So he came up to my window Monday morning. Dominic won it on Friday morning, and Dr. Rob wasn't there when I picked Dom up. So he came to my window, my car, Monday morning when I dropped Dom off at school. And he's like, Jamie, he's like, the other kids were like dying at like 49 and 48 and 47. He's like, and Dominic wasn't even breaking a sweat. Like, so he has the ability to do that. So I'm like, here we go. He's going to kill it this weekend in Hershey, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, here we go. We have all this confidence. Wah, wah.
But so here's my but to that. Like, listen, don't get me wrong. It's so much easier to like, be on the outside looking in on some of these conversations. But like that you know what that makes me think of? That makes me think of like David Goggins, and that winning that plank competition needs to like be that cookie in the cookie jar. And that when the going gets tough, Dom
Right.
with time needs to learn how to access those cookies and,
Right.
just remember all of like the positivity, with something like that. Because even
That's
if it
what I'm
doesn't
hoping for.
directly like, okay, that did not
It's not
directly yield
correlating right now.
like immediately, but like
Yeah.
once you have like a
Maybe
cookie
work
jar
out
that's
the
got a
road.
lot of different things, when the going gets tough, he can be like, oh, well, I fucking do hard things and I
That's
can
what I'm
crush
hoping
it. So
for.
right now I got to
Yeah.
dig a little deeper.
Yeah, so
You know?
we're going to ask our mental performance coach when he comes on about that. I'm curious to hear what his thoughts are with the young athlete, or just athletes in general.
Yeah.
Because I think mental performance is something that is overlooked by all of us.
Listen,
All of
I
us,
can tell
parents and
you,
athletes.
I can tell you from my own personal experience, right? So I've dropped a bunch of LBs since summer,
Right.
like, and just even playing men's league, like I have my level of confidence
It's
just
higher.
because because I have more stamina, because I'm taking more chances, I'm doing things that I wouldn't have done before because I'm just feeling better about myself. I'm feeling stronger, I'm feeling lighter, I'm feeling quicker.
Sure.
Now don't get me wrong, it's not like trailblazing out there, but for me, like, I'm playing a whole heck of a lot better
I'm
than
sure you are.
and so even though I'm still making like some mistakes and getting upset and frustrated, like before the games, during the games, like I'm able to just like, my self-talk is a lot better. And
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
and that's
Yeah.
all because I gained some confidence from doing some things and seeing some results. So,
Yeah,
it's look,
I know. Yeah,
he's still
I
young.
know the answer. Of course he is. Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed. You want to hear my story?
And then let's wrap it up.
Okay. So I'm hanging out in the lobby of the Marriott in Hershey this past weekend, and a lot of people went out to Hershey Park Friday night.
Yeah.
I just kind of hung out in the lobby. I was watching the Devils game. I brought my laptop watching the Devils game, and he kind of sat next to me, and his kids, they're all Devils fans. They were kind of watching like over. So I turned the screen toward them, and I was talking to him, a dad on our team, and he has an older son. Okay, so they went down to Tampa for a tournament or a showcase recently.
Okay.
So they rented what did they rent? Yeah. They rented some sort of electric vehicle.
Okay.
Wasn't a Tesla, but it was something.
Okay.
Some EV that they got from the car rental, when they landed at the airport.
Okay.
So they threw the hockey bag in the back in the trunk. Okay. And they were hanging out, and like he said, like before the game, like he looked like the dad looked like under his watch and had like a red mark here. And he's like, oh man, is that like for my watch? So the kid takes his hockey bag. So the bag was in the trunk for a while, right? So the kid, takes his bag out and goes into the rink, and he realizes that there's red ants in his hockey bag.
What?
Red fire ants from South Florida in his hockey bag. He takes off all of his gear. He's like, they're like, like this,
shaking it out,
bro, like this. The dad goes back to the car, and they open the back. They turn their flashlights on. He says there were thousands of red ants in his electric, in the EV that they rented. So they were getting bites like here. So the kid's like, I am not getting in this fucking car. So apparently, like, some of the parents jumped in instead and drove to the hotel. They were getting fucking bit. So he calls the dealership, and he's like, or he calls a rental company. He's like, dude, I can't drive this. Like, there's fucking thousands of red ants in here. All right. They're like, just drive back to the airport. He's like, fuck you. He's like, I'm not fucking driving this thing. He's like, somebody come get this fucking thing and bring me another car.
Yeah.
So they brought his new car on a flatbed, okay? Dropped it off, took the red ant infested EV, stuck it on the flatbed, because who the fuck's going to drive that shit? So apparently in South Florida, it's a thing where apparently the wire coating that's used by EV automakers, the wire coatings in the chassis of the car is like a soy-based substance.
Okay.
That apparently the ants are attracted to.
No
So
shit.
apparently, like, this happens a lot. Fucking red ant infested cars. And the fucked up part about it is the new car that they brought him was a fucking Tesla. He's like, you fucking serious, dude? He's like, really? Another fucking EV? He's like, can't you just get me something that guzzles gas that I don't have to worry about fire ants in? Dude, he said the ants were everywhere. He's like, they had bites all over them on their like, he's like, the kid had bites on him. The parents that were in the car.
Sucks. Did it get it out? So got it out of the equipment ultimately?
Bro, he said they were like this, like flapping everything out. Fuck like that. he's like they saw them flying off the gear as they were like flapping the gear out. How fucking ridiculous is that?
That's crazy. That they're attracted to like a component in a car. How weird.
The wire coating.
Huh.
Right?
That's wild.
Yeah.
Well, good to know. I mean, I have an EV.
Yeah, you don't also live in South Florida where red ants are like, are prominent.
No, but I've seen red ants in my backyard, like in my patio.
Google it.
So I'll be on the lookout for that.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. Maybe shit. All right.
Well, listen.
Shit can that EV of yours.
It's fucking annoying, but at least they had a solve for it, so that's good.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, man. And thank you to everybody for subscribing. And we had a bunch of reviews recently. Thank you very much to those people. Please go review our podcast if you like what you're hearing, because it is impossible to get reviews. So please review, share, subscribe, write us if there's a topic you want us to talk about. We need to start. We get a lot of write-ins, and we need to start putting them on the air, Scott.
Yeah, we should keep on not doing that.
We'll do it. Yeah.
Do it. Just I got one shout out to my son Otto. Happy birthday, Otto. He turned 11 this past Saturday.
Happy birthday, Otto.
Happy birthday, Otto. So
well done.
My guy's 11, and yeah, man, I think that's what we got going on. My kids, they both want to be on the podcast, so we got to figure out a time to have them show their faces at some point.
Yes, we need to figure out how to do that. I think when we next time we podcast from the hockey bunker, I think we should grab 2 more mics and set that up, and 2 more cameras, and see how that works.
Yeah, we'll give it a try.
That'd be a cool episode.
Yeah, man. All right. Yeah. Well, listen, I think it's a wrap. Awesome episode. And I will see you next week, dude.
Thank you for everybody for dealing with us. I'm sure I know I sound like shit, so I appreciate everybody dealing with us, because we're not exactly well right now, but all good.
That's what it is. All right, man. Feel better. Yeah. I'll talk to you soon.
You too.
All
I'll see you later.
Peace out.
Bye now.